Let's talk about fair value gaps. We spoke about order blocks in one of our previous videos, and we said an order block is the first level of distribution. It brings about the first level of distribution, the first stage of distribution in any market maker model. We'll talk about the market maker models in a coming video. And in the next stages of distribution, there will always be fair value gap. Now, what is a fair value gap? A fair value gap is a three candle pattern. Retailers call them the three white soldiers or the three black crows, depending on the direction. For those who have not noticed, you should be noticing this today. This same pattern, which they always said is a sign of continuation, is a fair value gap, just without the detail. So what characterizes this and creates this into being a fair value gap? As we all know, a candlestick like this also has parts like the open and the close, the high and the low of a candlestick. So if you put this high and these lows on each candlestick with the wicks, you can ignore this one. The space between, we'll put the wick here as well. The space between this wick here, this gap here, and here is what we call a fair value gap. Now, we mentioned the order blocks, said how an order block will begin the distribution. Now, if you see a fair value gap, it means distribution has to continue. But how will price have to continue this? A fair value gap is an inefficiency or an imbalance, as others will call it. Price will have to come back into the fair value gap to refill and then expand back into its favored buyers, which will be higher above in a scenario like this. If we change the scales, inverting the scales, you will notice that the opposite is true for a bearish scenario. How to trade fair value gaps? It all depends on the fair value gaps time frame, so that you will know how to trade it. For example, we have fair value gaps on every time frame. We have these scenarios everywhere on the price. We have this fair value gap inside of this order block. We have this fair value gap here. If it's that you want to trade the fair value gap, you need to know how to blend in the power of price and time, knowing how to understand where your model is going to be taking place and how your entry is going to take place. In this scenario here, we have a weekly fair value gap. You cannot just say, okay, price will enter into this fair value gap and I'll be buying. You have to use this as your area of context, so that you can go to your lower time frame and get maybe a sign of strength and you buy. The same will apply on the daily time frame. If you go down to the daily, you will notice simple scenarios of price moving from internal range to external range. We have this one here where price taps into this fair value gap and rallies back for these highs. We have this here as a bearish example, the price taps into this bearish fair value gap and gets to these lows, and these lows here is a weekly fair value gap. So you can see that sometimes a fair value gap will be also used for targeting purposes and not just for entering purposes. If you go through the lower time frame, maybe we have this as the daily chart, we go through the 15-minute time frame for you to have context on how price was buying. You will be seeing this is the area where price came into. We have this here where price created sign of strength, market structure shift, a fair value gap, and then it expands into this direction. If you say you look at the opposite side, a bearish example, we have this fair value gap here, price taps into. I would also have price creating bearish signs of strength. We have a turtle soup here, price expands, leaving behind a fair value gap, which later on dives into to sell deeper into our weekly fair value gap. This is a simple way to understand the use of fair value gaps, how to trade fair value gaps. It all depends on the time frame and your trading model. Sometimes you will use the fair value gaps for understanding, you will use it as your area of context. Sometimes you'll see it as your entry model where you will put your limit order and price will buy to it. If you have any more questions, you can subscribe to my channel. More videos will be coming up shortly. I wish you all stay blessed. Good luck and